Hey everyone, this is Dr. Eric Fields, an addiction psychologist. And today I'm discussing how I believe we can get your loved one to change. And this is not just a belief that I came up with out of thin air. This is one that I feel truly confident about because of the overwhelming amount of research that really backs up what I'm saying. This approach has been compiled, in a sense, by many different researchers in the addiction field. And they have all kind of come together in a consensus to really say that these three things, if you can address these three areas and learn skills to really address these three areas, you can get your loved one to change. There is such an optimism now about people with addiction. Do you know that so many people with an addiction actually get better and recover on their own? That's a secret that a lot of people don't know about. And it's one that the expensive inpatient rehabs don't want you to know about. Listen, at the end of the day, these rehabs can be very, very helpful for some people. But again, something else that the research tells us is the best way to help someone overcome an addiction is by doing the least intrusive intervention. What does that mean? Well, that means that a lot of people do not need inpatient rehab. And a lot of people do not need such intensive treatment that people very often can make substantial changes in an outpatient setting where they're seeing, let's say, a therapist once a week. And if their parents, spouses, et cetera, are trained in the right way, they can actually support their recovery so that this person can make the changes on their own. So what our goal is simply is to get your loved one to change. Whether or not they change by doing it on their own, by purchasing a self-help book, by seeing a therapist once a week, by going to a support group, or if they have to, going to some kind of intensive inpatient setting, whatever the way they need to do it, it's fine. But what I'm saying is lots of times it doesn't have to be so extreme in terms of an inpatient facility. Understand that these places are businesses, and a lot of times they will kind of sell themselves as being, the needed solution to this problem. And so that, this is the only way to treat people with addiction. And like I said, it's just not true. Many people recover on their own. But here is the clincher. People can recover on their own or decide to get help many times only when they get the right support from their loved ones, people like you, the parents, the spouses, the partners. So, what do you have to do to get them to change, right? To get them to want to change and then to get them to actually change, for me, is one and the same. As soon as the person starts acknowledging that they want to change, they are already in the change process. And the research shows us that that is clear as well. So, how can we get your loved one to change? It's simple. You need to understand them and their struggles. as well as I understand people with these kind of struggles. So you need to have the kind of education that an addiction specialist such as myself has. You need to know what I know. The second thing is you need to know how to take care of yourself. I'm not talking about just general self-care. I'm talking about taking care of yourself in the current situation that you're in, which is dealing with a loved one struggling with addiction. And there are special strategies and skills that you need to learn to be able to separate a little bit emotionally from this very emotionally arousing situation. If you can't be in a more objective place, then you're never going to be able to support your loved one in the right way. Now, this second one comes very natural for me because I'm not in the relationship that you guys are in with your addicted loved ones, right? So, as a psychologist, as a therapist, I automatically have an advantage because I'm in a more objective framework because I'm not working with my son or daughter, I'm not working with my wife. I'm working with another fellow human being, and so the emotionality is separate, okay? But I absolutely know the skills and strategies that you need to know to be able to put yourself in the right psychological mindset to prepare yourself to be able to help this person in this situation. And there are strategies and skills that you need to learn to be able to stay in this more objective frame of mind. And listen, don't get me wrong. There are times, especially after I've developed a long-standing relationship with a patient, where it will be hard for me to maintain my objectivity. So I have had to learn these skills too, trust me. I'm not always able to naturally stay in an objective state of mind. I have frustrations with my patients and disappointments and everything else, just not to the same degree you do. But what I'm saying here is not only have I needed to learn some of these skills for myself, but I've learned these skills very, very well to be able to help parents and partners stay in that objective state of mind that is so crucial. So there's the two out of the three, right? If you noticed already, we're talking a lot about you, right? And you might think like, okay, but like, what does this really have to do with my loved one doing what they need to do? Well, listen, I'll use the airplane metaphor, right? You know, they always teach you on the airplane that you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you put on your child's oxygen mask, your spouse's, your loved ones, et cetera, right? Because if you pass out, then they're, shit out of luck. You have to take care of yourself first and foremost. You have to be able to be in um, a space of strength, right, and fortitude in order to do the work that's necessary. The third one, and this is the one that I'm sure you've been anticipating, is like if you look at the first two, you kind of look at them as like the prerequisite sets of skills that you need to take care of yourself and put yourself in the right mindset. And then the third one is the actual skills to reach your loved one. And there is again a ton of research in terms of how to do this the right way, how to not be an enabler, how to avoid the tough love approach, how to not try to passively help your partner. These skills and strategies are designed to motivate, to inspire your loved one to do what they need to do. Now, I'm not talking about turning you guys into Tony Robbins and being like the most dynamic motivational speakers to really reach your loved one. Although I'm sure it's a great set of skills to have, they're not necessary. And, you know, you as parents and partners of loved ones, you do have this emotional bond and connection. And so you have to be very strategic in terms of how you communicate your support to your loved one and how you influence them, right? Like if you, even as positive and optimistic as you might try to be with, you know, preaching to them what they need to do, they're still going to look at it as lecturing, a speech, et cetera, et cetera. And so there can be a time and a place for that when they're ready. But you need to know when they're ready for that. And more importantly, you need to know how to be an example to them, how to make them feel confident that this is possible, how to convey your understanding of their struggles, which is so essential for them to want to make improvements. And I'm not talking about supporting them in a way where you accept all their behaviors. No, there is limit setting that's involved too, but you have to know when and more importantly, how to do it. Once you're able to really learn these skills and execute consistently, then I'm telling you, you will be amazed at how your loved one can really change. I can't guarantee it, but I can tell you this. If you learn these skills and strategies with my help, the chances of them making these positive changes are going to be extremely high. We have seen so many people make these changes with the right kind of help and support. I have helped lots of people with addiction problems overcome them. And it has taken some of my patients a long time to make these changes. And I have always been under the belief that if I had had their loved ones support more. Like, in other words, if their loved ones were more involved in this process, they would have made those changes so much sooner. And some of them may have not even needed my help, I dare say. So, if you are really interested in learning all of the skills and strategies that I have learned in my training as an addiction psychologist, which are all based off of research and therefore work, please reach out to me today. We can make such a difference in your spouse's, son's, daughter's, partner's life. We really can. You really just have to be ready and open to learn these skills, and you need support with implementing them. You know, listen, if it was as easy as reading a book, there are tons of books on these strategies that you can find. I mean, you can go online and I'll give you the names of them. You can read them and learn all the skills and strategies on your own. Um, you could take an online course, maybe. I'm not sure if one exists, but you could. But the problem with an online course, the problem with reading about these strategies in a book is you don't have somebody working with you, helping you implement them. You don't have somebody to say, hey, Dr. Fields, I tried this, it didn't work. You don't have somebody who is not only there to support you, but to problem solve and strategize with you when the going gets tough or when these strategies aren't working for you. Because many times, the reasons why they're not working for you is because you think you're implementing them the right way, but you're not. and you need a little bit more coaching and a little bit more training. And then there'll be other times where you think you're doing them well enough and you're not, or you're losing motivation to do what you have to do. And you need a cheerleader. You need somebody who's going to motivate you to keep pressing on when the going gets tough. And that is the real difference here, right? So you're going to need a lot of support to do this the right way, and that's what I'm here for. So if you're interested, please reach out to me today. We can make a difference in your loved one's life. I'm telling you, believe it. This is Dr. Fields. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone.